Hello, friends in photography. Rob Provencher here from Westmount Photography. It's the end of February. Well, 2/3 of the way through February. It's snowing outside. I had not done a podcast for the studio for January. It just slipped by. But I did do one in December and November. And I want to keep up this tradition because I'm rather enjoying it. And, I'm going to talk about some random stuff, mostly to do with what's going on with us in our photography studio and photography in general, and my family and your family and all families, and hope you enjoy it. So, as you can see on the screen, there's a picture from, I believe this was about a year ago when we were in Tamarindo, which is down in Costa Rica. We visit there quite a bit, and back then our daughter took a week off from March break, and she came down to visit us, and she wanted to do, as she always does, a photo shoot on the beach with the surfboard. So this was one of my favorite shots from then. This is a shot straight from the camera. I love this picture, and I'll tell you why. So it'll give you some sort of ideas as to some of the elements that work, in my opinion, with a good photo. First thing you got to notice, there's people in the background. Photoshop. I'm going to take those guys out. So I want to make a wall portrait out of this one. And what's really working here, well, let's talk about composition and we'll talk about colors. When you look at the composition, there's actual lines you'll see in the sand, which is caused by the reflection, and there's a diagonal sort of flow to the clouds in the background, and there's a horizon in the background too, which oftentimes is very distracting. But those lines, they work sort of like almost like a funnel type shape, but they're shaped horizontally. Those create they draw you into the middle. Now you'll notice on the outsides it's very blue, and on the insides it's very warm, and the reflection from the sun is very warm. You have the blues and you have the reds or oranges, which are opposite colors on the color wheel. So that creates a really, it's almost like, because there's a tension there, it makes it very interesting. So we have that working for it, both composition and through colors. So I want to mention this, that we are having Fairy Day in March 13th. Shameless plug. There'll still be a lot of winter outside, so it's appropriate to have a winter Fairy Day theme. Our regular fairies are coming back in May, and we're getting lots of people asking us when that date is, so it's coming very, very soon. So I got to show you this. This is really cool. Look at this. This is a picture of the deep space. This is from the Hubble telescope. You can go find this online. And what I did was I thought it would be really cool to download it. Anybody can download it. This is 40 by 30 inches. I cropped this in from the original image. So Hubble, these astronomers went up with the Hubble's telescope, and they picked a very dark spot in the universe, and they zoomed in on it, and they created a very, very long exposure. So they pulled in a lot of light, which they couldn't see with the naked eye. And this was a small portion of the universe where they found all these galaxies. I just think it's amazing. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to make a 40-inch print. I'm going to use it in my home. Why not? Maybe I'll print it on a metal print. It's one of the options that's available to us is metal print. So I thought, well, that would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? So something to think about, and I just wanted to share that with you, and the picture of my daughter. Let me show you this. Okay, so I get these ideas, right? I do a lot of fairies, ice fairies, and medieval portraits, which are very, very popular all around. And there's this trend been going on over the last bunch of years, and I sort of collect samples based on these trends. Very simple, very artistic, classic, I love this stuff. So what I did was I collected all these samples, and I know there's mostly, they're all girls. These could easily be done with little boys too. The idea is for children, and I'm not sure that I necessarily would go with the funky looking cat with the cat sort of thing around his neck. That's not the idea. Same with this one here. I'm not sure about the bird. I don't want to go that thematic, but what I'm thinking is the overall look, maybe with a crown, nice dress, very simple background, very painted sort of sorts with nice lighting and sort of that dark, moody sort of motif going on. Again, maybe with crowns, because we do a lot of fairs, we have a lot of crowns available to us. So what I've done is I have ordered, don't you just love redheads? They're the cutest. I'm a little partial, so don't know what it is. I love little redheaded kids. And flowers, we got lots of flowers. Look at how cute that is, eh? So what I'm doing is, okay, you see right here, I'm ordering some gowns in order to, it's not going to let me open it up, is it? Anyways, you can see the gown right here. So I want to have black gowns for little girls. So just sort of throwing that out there to sort of fill you in on how I'm always sort of looking for different ideas and different themes and different portrait ideas that I think people will like. I've tried many crazy ideas in the past, and some worked, like fairies, ice fairies, and medieval. And some of our older promotions, like the Baby's First Year wall panel and a bunch of similar type promotions, are very popular. But we've tried a lot of crazy ideas that they just died. All right, so just wanted to mention that. Thought that was a pretty cool thing. There's the Hubble. There's the original Hubble file. I think when you go to download it, I think it's huge. 688 megabytes. That's humongatoid. So I don't know where you find it. I heard about it in a podcast and I went to the website, and I think it's really, really easy to find. Yeah, I just want to mention this. Okay, pop-up weddings. As you know, I've been a wedding photographer for 40 years now. Yow, that's a lot of decades. I still really enjoy photographing weddings. It's one of my favorite sessions. I think families are my number one. Families, kids, and then weddings. Weddings are exciting because it's an event and people are so excited. I've never lost the pizzazz or the zeal for photographing weddings. So still there. And of course, 2 years ago, we started doing pop-up weddings. As you know, my wife, Tina, is a legal wedding photographer. There she is. Here's her official wedding officiant site. So she can now marry people legally within Ontario, Canada, and we've been doing these pop-up weddings for the last couple of years. Last year, a lot of our weddings had to postpone some canceled. Some they couldn't get married because they were moving out of town, and we just refunded them their money and said, okay, it's all good. But many of them opted out for a pop-up wedding, or an elopement style wedding, and there's different variations. A lot of our weddings, we went to it's a historic church. I think it's St. Andrew's Church in Coniston. It's a funky, cool little church. It's very antique-y. It even has that old church smell when you walk in it. I kind of like that. Our original goal was to go to Northern Water Sports and Fielding Park, but we had neither were available last year. We're not even 100% sure they're going to be available this year. We're just waiting. However, we do have a pop-up wedding date, which means we can photograph up to, I think we're doing 4 or 5 in one day on both those days, June 5th and August 7th. And if neither those dates work for Fielding Park, if Fielding Park's not available, Fielding Park's owned by the city, by the way, so they set the rules. If they say can't rent it out yet, too soon, we're going to go to an alternate location, probably St. Andrews in Coniston. It's a bit of a pain. Not everybody wants to drive out there, but many do, and they still get married, and they have this great location. It's great for pictures, and there's a full basement with a kitchen and an area. Some girls even asked if they could go there and get dressed and get ready, which, like, yeah, that's cool. You can do that. And it actually gives me more opportunities to do, like, bride getting ready pictures. So, yeah, pop-up weddings. It's sort of like possibly going to become more popular because of the limitations put on large weddings. So pop-up wedding, a lot of people still are like, what's a pop-up wedding? So the quick synopsis is it's a small, intimate wedding with everything that a large wedding would entail, but it's up to 25 people. So we do pop-up wedding events where we'll book a venue. We'll do 4 or 5 weddings in one day. Or somebody can call us and say, well, we want to have a pop-up wedding in our backyard or at our cottage. Or you can look at this picture right here. This was on Ramsey Lake. We just went at a nice beach area on Ramsey Lake, and we set everything up there, and we did 2 weddings there last fall. Here's a wedding from last summer in August in their backyard. So it was the second wedding for both of them. And you can see they're just about ready to walk down the aisle. They don't see each other, but I saw them. I love doing this kind of picture because it's moments before they walk down the aisle. And I sort of set them up and say, okay, we're going to start soon. And I back up and I take this picture. So he's there with his 2 children. She's there with her 2 children. And it creates a nice memory. Here's a couple I photographed. Tina and I photographed, and we did their wedding in our studio last September. They just wanted a small wedding, which we can do in our studio up to 10 people. So the parents were there, and they had a blast. And they had their 2 boys there, and we did a whole, it's kind of cool because we do the wedding ceremony. And then everybody congratulates, and then we take pictures, and boom, it's all done in an hour. It's like $800 or something like that. Just a little side story with this wedding. It was funny because his dad was sitting right beside me. We had a couple of nice chairs set up, like a mini aisle sort of thing. There's not a lot of room, but it works. And his dad was on my right, and I think her grandma was on the left, and her boys were over here. And they were really well behaved, by the way, much to everybody's expectations. So his dad, everybody got really emotional. It was really something. His dad taps me and he goes, "Do you have any Kleenex?" I was like, oh, I never thought to put Kleenex out. It just never occurred to me. I'm like, I don't know where it is. I can go rummaging through our storage to find it. But so I just, hold on. I ran to the bathroom. I grabbed a roll of toilet paper and I came out and said, here you go. This will work. So it's kind of funny. But anyways, we had a great time. So that's sort of the update / news on the pop-up wedding industry. I think pop-up weddings are going to become more and more popular because of the uncertainty and the limitations and the whole COVID restriction thing. So, and again, it's like the brides come in their beautiful gowns, the guys dress up, everybody treats it, and they have the same experience as a big wedding without 200 guests or 150 guests. It's just minimized, and it's really makes it very, very budget friendly, very easy to manage. It's a legal wedding, and you get some amazing photos. Who'd have thunk it was a thing, but it's a thing. So, all right, what else do I want to talk about? I've always been saying this, and it is a legitimate trend that I've noticed over the years, and that family photos are becoming less popular. Probably because of cell phones, and people take a lot of their own pictures at home. So I love shooting families. It's one of my favorite sessions. So Miss Laura at Montessori School asked us, we weren't going to do this because last year we had very dismal return. Hardly anybody signed up for it. The year before was not bad. The year before that was even better, but then it was like getting worse and worse. So she emailed me and said, "Oh, you want to do this or what?" And I was like, "Oh." And I said, "Okay, let's try it." And I think what worked this time, because we were quite busy, we used to make it available for all of November. Now we said 1 day only. So if you put limitations, people seem to respond better. So we put out this special, and Miss Laura emailed everybody, and boom, we filled the day up. So it was quite busy. I'll show you a couple samples from that day. But I just want to kind of go back in time here. Here's a family. I showed up at their house. Yes, I just remember her name. Maybe I shouldn't mention it. I'm just going to keep it anonymous for now. But this is going back to film days. I believe that little baby is the oldest right here, who's now like university. So when I went to the house, I saw these pictures, and I took a snapshot with my camera or phone or whatever. So this is kind of so cool that I I go to so many people's houses and I have history with them. I find that amazing. So there they are, all grown up and turned out to be fine young adults. Amazing. Here's another family I photographed 2 summers ago. And they said, oh, yeah, you did our family however many years ago. And they showed me the picture. I took a shot with my cell phone. And there's a picture of the same 3 kids now. So that's the same. There's the little baby girl. No, that's her standing up right here. That's the little boy. And, of course, the oldest right there. So there they are in the background picture in their house. And here they are in their driveway, same family. It's sort of cool. It's really cool to be able to do all that. And another family, too. I've been photographing these guys since even way before he was born. And, yeah, a lot of history. And, of course, the Bourdon family. They have like 8 kids. I photographed them when they had 5 kids and she was pregnant for twins. And then she had another baby. There's the twins right there in the front, I believe. Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, I just love families. I love big families. And when whenever these guys would come in, I get so excited. There's a couple, I photographed their wedding back in like the late 90s. Now they have 3 young adult girls that came in for family photos. Happens a lot. So here's a family every year, photograph them at Christmas time. And one year we'll go to, let's see, he's a brother to her, I believe. Yeah, they're siblings. So that's an in-law, a husband to her. And that's a wife to him. And one year we'll go to one house. Next year we'll go to the next. So they started this tradition years ago. And we photographed them every year. A little side story. It's kind of a bit of a tragic story, but Bumble, the dog right here, has horrible issues. So we have to keep him in the other room. He's emotionally scarred because he got brutalized when he was just a pup. I think two pit bulls attacked him. And I mean, you look at him now, he looks literally like he could take on 5 pit bulls. He's just this massive beast of a dog. And they have to hold him because who knows what can happen. And, he's a sweet dog. He's nice. He's just got that going on. It's kind of sad, but it is what it is. And there they are with their masks. They wanted to do one for fun with the masks. Here they are from a couple years ago. And you could tell she's holding Bumble. And that was from last year. So this was last Christmas. This was 2 Christmases ago. This is probably 3 or 4. I don't know. I photograph them every year. So it's kind of cool, again, to be able to see all these little children. And there's Jamie and Rosie and their 7 kids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I photograph them every year. Jamie and Rosie have a photography business. He's also a coder for Activision, which is a large online gaming software. He's one of the superstars there. Works from home, and he's now taken up farming. So he bought a big tractor, and he's been running this YouTube channel, which I'll link down below. Go check that out. It's kind of cool. I think it's really cool. And here's another family. Photographed them 10 years ago, and not the same dock, but on the same lake, same home. And there were fewer kids back then. I don't think he was around, and they were much smaller, and they wanted to commemorate the anniversary. So, yeah, it's so nice to be able to capture these memories for people. So here's one. There's a style. It's kind of a little offensive to some people, but what that is a trend that got started, and I really think it's cool. What it is you go to people's homes, you photograph them in their day-to-day life with their family. You spend a couple hours, you spend like an afternoon on a Saturday, and whatever they're doing, you just photograph 100% photojournalistic. So with that family, the idea, we created a project which was based on the idea that I was going to photograph them every month up until the birth of the baby. You could see she's pregnant. And then I photographed the actual birth, which I did, and then I did one follow-up session. And I did that through the local Sudbury Midwives on Regent Street. And it was a really exciting, very, very exciting project that I'd done. So, it's like very natural. just very photojournalistic, as I mentioned. So, little side story, 2 side stories on that particular shoot. They came in towards Christmas for an in-studio family shot, similar to the white background here, and they didn't like them. And I'll tell you why they didn't like them. They really liked the photojournalistic ones, and they had gotten so used to those. The photojournalistic ones are so spontaneous and they're so genuine that when they came in for a posed studio shot, they were ruined. Does it make sense? You understand what I'm saying? So it sort of means that they really, in many, many ways, the photojournalistic, the storytelling images have way more impact. And it's a concept that I really like. I tried to push it. I suppose I didn't push hard enough, but it just never really caught on. The other story too, was the birth of the child. I remember the day they said, okay, we're going to the hospital. Contractions have started. I was like, okay, keep me posted, because I didn't want to go there right away. So the idea was, again, to photograph the birth. So I packed my camera up. I waited. Midnight rolled around. 1 a.m. rolled around. And babies always come at 3. Ever notice that? So he texted at 3, and he's like, it's time. So I jumped in the car at 3 a.m, went to the hospital, and I got there, and the baby was born. So I still got a bunch of cool images, but nevertheless, you can't time these things 100%, but it was an awesome experience in the long run. So anyways, I'm almost done. Let me just talk about this right here, just for interest's sake. Now, this was a light painting. So I photographed this a couple of years ago. And the idea is there's about 40 plus exposures here. So I paint each area with a light. Each exposure is about 30 seconds long. It requires a very stable tripod, a great location without too much ambient light, because otherwise it'll ruin it. And it'll requires assistance. So I had the guy there who owns the car, plus I had my buddy firing the camera on the cell phone app. And every time I say go, he would click it and the camera would open, and I'd go there and I'd paint. So I scoped out this location. It's out at Inco. You could see it. This is a shot when we got there. So this is what it looks like, sort of as is. Now I wanted because of this car, I wanted something that sort of looked like Mad Max. And that's why I went there. It was really funny because it took us about 2 hours to get all the shots. Well, we were almost done all the shots. And then finally the security guard busted us and came in and said, he was madder than a hornet. He was really rip snorting mad. And he said, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. You're on private property. I was like, yeah, okay, we're leaving. We're leaving right now. I turned around. I went to my buddy. I said, fire the camera one more time. Because, see the wheels? I had not got the wheels done yet. I had everything else done. So he fired the camera. I heard it go click, and I walked over, and I painted each wheel for 15 seconds, and I got enough light on the wheels. So each of these are hand lit. Now, this is not perfect. This was my first attempt at light painting, but it creates that real dimensional look, and I think I'm heading in the right direction with it, and it's really suited for inanimate objects. And I wanted this area because it looks dystopian and sort of futuristic. Cool. Unbelievable. So one more thing I want to talk about, and that is my daughter. I got to show you this here. So she posted this a couple of weeks ago, and it's in reference to her, what she calls her 3-year anniversary. She gives a trigger warning, because here's the picture she posted. You have to go to her Instagram, Hello Danielle Marie, and check out this post to read the full thing. I'm not going to get into it in detail here. I asked her if this was okay with her to share and talk about. She's totally cool with it. So you have to see the image, which is now, and this was her 3 years ago. Now she describes what happened, and what had happened was she had pretty much a breakdown for a whole year. It was a hard time for us all. For Tina and I think it was like the worst year of our lives. And we thought the worst had happened, that we had a serious mental health issue. And, it was kind of hard to take. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. I mean, but it happens, right? We anticipated the worst, and we said we're going to get through this, and we're going to just deal with it. And it was pretty dark. Danielle couldn't function anymore. And you'll have to read it and see. She describes it. It was pretty intense. And this was from a kid who had a 95 average in high school, very ambitious, team captain in basketball, a real leader in so many ways, very creative, very funny, lots of friends, very popular. From what I just described to a very dark place, which is very almost incapacitated mentally, and it was very hard to take. Anyways, turns out what it was the Marina IUD, and if you do some research, and we found this out January 2018. And she had the Marina removed on the early part of February. And that date she had it removed was her anniversary date. So I'm glad we found out. The doctors, the psychiatrists did not figure it out. It took the help of a naturopath who does a holistic approach. And she kind of asked 1,000,001 questions over many, many hours. And eventually, within no time, she said, I found out what your problem is. And I was like blown away. I did some research. I'm like, wow, there are many, many women. There are thousands of women around the world. It's a small percentage, but some women who take the Marina IUD get the same symptoms. It's a shocker. And there's even lawsuits in the States. There are lawyers who are pushing for class action lawsuits. But yeah, we're not worried about that. We're just glad that she's back. And she graduated college, and she's working. And she's very open about this story. She wants other women to know about it and the challenges of some of the things we do to our bodies. I mean, she just does not do well with IUDs or birth control pills, period. The hormones. It's like what I remember going to the health food store in LaSalle, because I was looking for help. I was like, you got something? I kept going back there. And I remember the guy was telling me, he says, yeah, it's like the hormones are like, you need a thumbtack, but instead of using a small hammer, you're using a sledgehammer. That's the effect of hormones have on our bodies when we're talking about things like birth control and IUDs. So anyways, I'm just going to mention this, that Danielle has been interviewing me. Go to her YouTube channel. She needs subscribers. She's only got 6, but she's got a lot of views. So 2 months ago, we did a conversation on authenticity and following your passion. Last, I think December, we did conversations with Dad, go overcoming adversity. She does these interviews, and they're going over really, really well. We have another one scheduled for, I think tomorrow night we're doing another one. And so go check it out and see what we have to say. So, all right, that's my entire blurb for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, send us an email, and I hope to see you all soon. And have yourselves a good end of winter. Spring is just around the corner, and we're really looking forward to it. Thanks.